Welcome back to the Dreamlet Podcast. In today's episode, we are going to talk about gossip and how it influences your friendships or relationships. And in this episode, we have a guest today. Her name is Althea, and I actually met her recently in a travel trip to Taiwan. And she's lived in Taiwan her whole life, so English is her second language. But I personally think her English is great. So welcome, Althea. How are you doing today?
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Althea, and thank you for introduction. Yeah, I'm feeling very excited right now.
Yeah. I'm like super happy that like I get to talk with someone that I just met on a travel trip, like on my podcast episode. That's like never happened before. So that's like really cool.
Yeah, we can have some, new stuff and brainstorm some new things. Because I'm like Asian, right? And you're like,
I mean, I'm Asian too.
Different...
So, but I mean, we're from different cultures essentially. Like,
yeah,
you've lived in Taiwan your whole life. I've lived in California my whole life. So let's see what some interesting differences are.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're going to start off with basically gossip and how like this topic was something that crossed my mind like after certain friends told me about what other friends have done. And then like for me, I like to think of myself as someone, I'm very objective. I won't get influenced by like what you say about this friend. Like I know it's between you two, blah, blah, blah. But I was like super wrong. Like I totally got influenced by it. So the question is like, is it even possible to be like unaffected by gossip? Like if a friend of yours starts talking crap about a different friend, like is it even possible to like just not be affected whatsoever by it?
I believe this part can be divided into two aspects. If my friend tells me something about a completely unfamiliar person, I will naturally lean towards their side and trust what they say, partly out of comfort and partly because we know and usually unquestionably like believe our friends, right?
Yeah.
However, if the friend that they mention is also someone I know, I might still stand by my friend's side like when I'm talking with my friend, but I may also try to mediate and ease the situation for the other friend when necessary.
Yeah.
Are you
that's good. Like mediating is definitely the preferred method, I'd say. In my case, it was like a very, very close friend who was telling me about a different friend in the sense that they were in a relationship together. I won't go into like heavy details because I don't want to like
spill the beans.
Yeah, I don't want to like hint at anything, I guess. But basically, they just kept saying, oh, this was going wrong, that person did this, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's like terrible. And it's between them, right? It's not I'm not involved whatsoever, but she's my close friend, and I'm like, I feel really bad for her because she's really sad about it. And
I mean, you're the friends of all of them, right? Both of them.
I'm also friends with the other person, but I'm closer to one than I am with the other one. And then the other one doesn't tell me anything about it. So it's like, I almost only hear it from one side. And I think that really, and continuously hearing about it like every month, it's just like, it naturally affects my perception of the other person. And it's not like I'm going to defend the other person because she's not saying things that are subjective. It's like, oh, this happened. And I'm like, oh my God, that's terrible, right? She's just telling me events that happened versus like pure, I don't know. There's like a difference between gossip and just, I don't have a word for it, but it's like,
okay. So is it like really a big deal, or do you think it's just like some tiny things, but it just accumulate a lot and started to be?
That's a good question. Yeah. I'd say in this case, I consider it a big deal. Like, it's like relationship stuff where, like if that happened to me, I would probably like break up with the other person, like stuff like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, I felt like it's not very fair to my other friend because, he didn't do anything to me. But at the same time, like when someone does something bad in general, it kind of shows their character in general, right?
But what do you mean like bad? I mean, like sometimes couples, they fight because they share somehow different values towards some certain stuff. But actually, I have observed sometimes that my friends, maybe they have some fight with their boyfriends, and maybe when you just heard some parts of it, you feel like, oh my God, this guy is so mean, or he's so selfish, or something like that. But actually if you stand on my friend's side and maybe a week later, and then maybe they get back together, the girl will tell you, actually, I misunderstand him. He didn't know what I actually want. Yeah. I think that happens a lot. And so I think it's really hard to say, oh, the guy is really wrong. But just when the person tell you and you feel like, oh yeah, why he did this, you cannot understand.
I think in those circumstances, I would certainly understand. But I think in this case, he just did things that were like not right in any circumstance, It really affects my perception of the person, And I don't want to be affected, right? I'm trying my best to like literally not see him in a different way, but it's really hard. And that's why I wanted to propose that question, like whether or not it's even possible to be unaffected, right? Because something similar happened to another friend of mine where he just continuously heard bad things about this person who like he was friends with and saw all the time, because he kept continuously hearing bad things about him. Basically the same thing as me, same situation, right? and I'm like, wow, like neither of us wanted to be affected, right? Both of us tried to not be affected, but we were affected. And that's why I personally believe that like you will be influenced, because it's human nature. It's like you're learning information about what this person did, and it's almost impossible to not make a judgment. Like even if you're not going to act on that judgment, right? You still make a judgment.
That is very true. But actually, if you're watching TV, and there are many times you can see some, celebrities, they divorce, and some TV shows, they will trash back. Like when they get onto the show like several times, but they talk about each other, they will make a clip. And through that clips, you feel like, oh, no wonder they divorced. Oh, no wonder like this. But actually, is it that a big deal? Like what caused them to divorce? Actually, I don't think so. But it's just like people want to know why. Celebrities, sometimes they don't say. They just say, we just think our personalities not match, and therefore we just divorce or break up.
I think that's a very different circumstance. Like for celebrity gossip and all that stuff, everyone's viewing it from the outside. Like they don't have any personal, I mean, I guess they could have personal investment, but it's not like as if the person, like this is your friend, right? I think for the gossip I want to talk about or hone in on specifically is gossip between like friends, like actual like people you interact with regularly.
I understand. But so the examples you give is like the relationship part. Okay, the girl tell you something about something bad happened in her relationship, right? And you started to have some different opinions toward her significant
other, the guy.
Yeah, significant other. Okay, how about this? You have two good friends.
Yeah.
Like both of them, and if one starting to talk about another person's, bad things, faults, and what will you do? Have you ever encountered this kind of thing? Like both of them, and they are your good friends.
I feel like I have, but for the most part, like most of the time it's ambiguous. It's like they don't specifically say, oh, they did this really bad thing or this bad thing. It's more like they're just like, oh, I felt hurt by something somebody did, I guess. And it's quite reasonable, I think. So for me, I'm not like too affected by it. Wait, I'm starting to think about more specific examples. As I'm talking, I'm just like, oh, I'm starting to remember certain things. Like I think like when certain friends talk about other friends and they're like, it's more like, oh, this person did something and it hurt me, and it's like not cool. It does make me feel like, obviously I feel empathy for the friend that got hurt, and then I'm like, okay, that person obviously did something that's not cool, but if I know that other person well, I know that it was probably not their intention to do so. They weren't trying to hurt my other friend, if that makes sense.
I think it depends. I think you didn't really encounter something that they really have a fight and then they want you to take sides.
Yeah. Taking sides. Well, I mean, I feel like a friend tried to do that once, and I was just like, I am going to remain neutral.
It's hard.
Yeah. But I mean, that was a long time ago, and now they're okay, which is great. But like, definitely back then I was just like, yeah, I will not take any sides because it's tough.
But what if, okay, you have two good friends and one like said, okay, I have no one to share and I think you're my best friend. And I'm pretty sad about this. And I hope you keep this secret for me.
Right.
And then the person started to say about something bad toward, oh, the other person hurt me. And well, like she did something a lot. And actually you didn't know all of this. And then you feel like the person told you, you feel like she's the victim. So after she told you this, she said, oh, thank you. Like, oh, you're so sweet that you listen to me, like talking about all these things.
Right.
And actually, you do feel that, oh, the person got hurt. And actually, the things that happened to her, you feel like, oh, the person should not encounter this kind of bad things.
Right.
So would you started to have different feelings toward the other friend? But actually, the other friend didn't say anything before.
So you're saying like the other friend like never mentioned this like
yeah, and never mentioned like, okay, she didn't like this friend or anything.
So in this circumstance, I mean I feel like, wait, how is this different from like what we've been talking about with the guy and all that stuff? Because that's basically what happened, right?
I think it's different is because you say you know the guy, but actually you're not really a good friend of him.
Right.
But what I'm saying is like you have two good friends. It's like you really know these two people. And and one of each like try to close to you and say something bad. And she looks like a victim.
I see. I think what I would do is just comfort her at this moment, like the one who's telling me things. And if she wants me to keep it a secret, then of course I will. Like I'm not gonna like mention a single thing to the other person. I feel like that's just like proper. Like that's what I should do.
Yeah, but your attitude, like
my attitude
inside your mind when you
towards the other person.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
especially when two of them are at the same occasion and you are also there and you know this.
Yeah, that's tough. I do feel like I would be affected by it for sure. I would be a little sad that I know this information, but at the same time, I'm like there to help my friend if she needs it, right? So I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna empathize with her, but like I can't do anything about that because I'm gonna try my best not to treat the other friend any differently. I would try my best not to, but I think inevitably in the back of my head, I'm gonna think, damn, you hurt my other friend. It's gonna be
right. So I think this is pretty hard that you're not affected by the other person.
Yeah, and I don't know what do you think is a good solution is the question. I mean,
okay, so the good solution, you mean as the person in the middle?
Like because right now we're saying that most likely you will be affected, right? But how do you approach that? Like what do you do to sort of minimize like how much you're affected or like just feel okay about it?
Okay, so actually previously I had two very close friends who encountered this. They have some conflicts, and both of them like separately came to me to complain about the other. And at first I felt quite troubled because I'm a peacemaker, and facing such a situation, it was challenging for me to take sides, and I'm also afraid that the other party might feel that I don't support them. So so when one friend expressed their sadness, I would try to respond by saying, oh, I understand how you feel. Yeah, and I think the person might be a bit careless, or unintentionally causing offense. Or I might say, yes, they did handle this part poorly, but I think you should let the person know how you feel. Do you think she knows like this? And I would be cautious not, take sides, as there is a possibility that one of them might screenshot our conversation and show it to the other. Like if they eventually like get back together, become friends back. I see. So you're worried about like taking a side and then once they're okay, like you took a side and they're hurt by it, or like the other person's hurt by it? Yeah. And also I think if I know two of them, I will know their personality. Okay, for example, your friend B, okay, she said something hurt you. Okay, I will say, wow, oh my God, I cannot believe she said that to you. And you must feel sad, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I think you should not take it into your mind, And then
not take it personally.
Take personally. And yeah, and I will also talk to the friend B. I will like call her and, just like casual, talking to something normal.
I see.
And then I will like try to say something that, oh, so do you use some words like, idiot or something like that often? Like I try to make sure like what's going on between them. So, like why she say that.
You're trying to mediate. You're trying to help them basically.
I'm not sure. I just want to know on what kind of occasion she say that to you.
I see. So you're like giving advice and you're trying to help the situation. While I'm very passive and I just listen. I mean, I also offer advice. I don't ever try to like interfere. You know what I mean? Like I don't like talk to the other person or like, yeah.
Okay, it depends how much I leak the information. For example, what I'm saying is like, okay, I try to guess whether she say it intentionally or not.
Mm-hmm.
If she didn't, I will tell the other friend that actually I think she's just like careless.
I see.
Something like that.
So you're essentially just offering possibilities that could help calm your friend down or make them feel like less hurt.
And if I found out that maybe the other person is not meant to do that, then I will try to say something good. But I will not say right away. I'll just like maybe 2 days later when we talk and I would just like mention it and to see her reaction. If she still say things like, oh, I don't want to say something regarding to her, then I would know, oh, okay, maybe.
Gotcha.
Just, yeah.
Now you're pretty strategic about this. I feel like my thought process about these things are pretty like surface like thoughts. Like I don't have like too many examples to draw from.
Is there any examples that you take sides by your friend, but in the end they said, oh, actually she's not the one or he's not the one?
They forgive him or they...
Yeah.
I see. Most of the time, it's not that bad. I'm listening, being as helpful as I can for my friend, and I don't generally have a terrible opinion about the other person unless they do like horrible things. And if they have done horrible things and then they're forgiven, then that's when I start to question. I'm just like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't forgive that person. Like that's when I start to indicate that perhaps they are being too forgiving. Because let's say that person like did a lot of things that clearly indicate they aren't a good person, right? Like very, very clear signs, like either being abusive or straight up lying about certain things, like inexcusable actions. And if they forgive those inexcusable actions, then I'm just like, yeah, that's not. I will still support your decision, but I will let you know that I think your decision is wrong.
But I think like boys and girls are different. We have small circles. I don't like small circles, but I don't know, like girls just have small circles.
So you're saying girls usually have smaller circles than guys?
Yeah. Like guys can be in any circles, but girls, they just have like
I see.
2 or 3 people. There will be a group and maybe they're close to each other, but they are not like guys, like, oh, I can just be nice with everyone. I mean, yeah, we can be nice with everyone, but just like, oh, if you're not belonging to our small circle, then maybe I will not tell you something more personally things.
I see. So that's just an observation you've made between guys and girls.
Yeah, and I think I really don't like this kind of thing, but...
You prefer having a bigger circle of friends? Is that what you're saying, or...?
I think circle is like, I don't think it's a good thing, especially like during the school time.
I see.
Because there might be like a student A saying, oh, I don't like student B, so let's don't play with her. So kick out student B inside our group.
That's like kid stuff, right? I mean... I guess that still happens in adult life.
Yeah.
But in a different way, I guess. Yeah, that's true.
I think in the school time, it will be more hurtful because you have to see the person every day.
Yeah.
Right? So if the person got kicked out, I don't know, it's kind of bully or something like that. But you mentioned about this topic. Actually, I have another idea.
Sure.
About... Okay, someone talks shit about other people, you will be affected. Then what about you are the main character inside this?
Yeah.
So
that's way tougher in my opinion, because I personally feel like I haven't had that too much, I have had it, of course. It's kind of funny, actually. Like, really random quick story. Like in 6th grade, I thought I heard my friend talk shit about me. I thought in the classroom.
You thought.
And then right after the bell rang, he was walking out the door. Like everyone was walking out the door. It's like class of maybe 30 people. And I just straight up went up to him, behind him, punched him in the back, and said, don't talk shit about me, or don't talk about me. That's what I said. And he started crying, and then I just walked out of the classroom.
Why?
I was like afraid of getting in trouble. That's why I walked out. But like after that, we became like really, really close friends. I don't even know how. The psychology of us, like 6th graders as guys, I don't know how any of that makes sense. But like it turns out I don't think he was actually talking shit about me at all. I just heard him say my name, or at least I think I heard him say my name. That was like a reaction as a kid, right? And I feel like sometimes when you're a kid, you sort of have these feelings that you just act upon immediately, right? So it's like representative of how someone might feel later on in their life. But of course, you can't just go up and punch the person you thought like talk shit about you. But you sort of want to, right? Like if like you legit heard someone or knew for sure this person talked poorly of me, then like what the hell? Like why, right? Like why would you do that? For what reason? If I actually hurt your feelings and did bad things to you, then I can understand you wanting to talk to a friend who can console you because you got your feelings hurt. But I would hope that you give me the benefit of the doubt and like talk to me about it, and then we can talk it out, right? So if I do hear someone having talked shit about me, I think the solution for me is to try to like confront them about it and be like, I heard that you said this, I felt hurt by it, can we talk about it? Because like maybe there was a misunderstanding somewhere, maybe we can work things out. That would be the ideal outcome, I think.
Oh my God. This reminds me of another story. And okay, so based on your story, the other story is like sad. Yeah. Okay, I would say this happened when I was in elementary school. Okay, I will call my friend as Betty. Okay, so Betty is inside a small group, and she thinks she's close to those girls, but actually those girls didn't like Betty. They even say she's a bitch.
Wow.
Like behind her, and therefore
this is in elementary school.
Elementary school, yeah.
What the heck?
Too dramatic, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So another girl, okay, I would just call her like May. So May is a very kind-hearted girl. She noticed that because she heard this, and she knew that actually Betty is not a bad girl, but sometimes she just like to play with guys. Yeah, and that's why the other girls like secretly call her like bitch behind her back.
I see.
So one day, May, she thinks actually Betty is a good girl and she really need to know this. So she told her that your friends call you a bitch like behind you, and they actually don't like you. So I don't think you should, do good to them. And then you know what? You imagine, okay, if you are Betty, what would you do?
I'd probably just try to do what I said, right? Just try to talk to him about it.
Okay, yeah. So what did Betty do? She brought the whole group of girls in front of May and said to her friends, saying like May told me that you guys call me bitch. Is that true? In front of May.
I see.
Yeah. And then those girls say, what? Like, why we should call you this? Why you don't believe us? Why you believe this girl? Like, she's not part of us, She's not part of the member inside this group.
That's quite devious.
Yeah, so after that, May got bullied.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Very ridiculous, right?
Yeah, this is like a true story that...
yeah, this is a true story.
That your friend went through? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I see.
So I think like Betty should not disclose this in front of May. I think May didn't do anything wrong, actually.
Right. So May told Betty, and you think that's right?
I think if I were May, and if I deem Betty as my friend, yes, I will tell her.
Gotcha.
How about you?
I think I would. I mean, like, It depends, right? This is like, it's different because it's a bit pettier. It's a bit more like, oh, you're talking shit about someone. And if that person doesn't necessarily need to know, it's tough. It's tough.
No, I think the problem is because May deemed Betty as our friend.
Right.
But I don't think actually Betty did. I don't know, like
Betty didn't see May as a friend, or what do you mean?
Or she deemed her as a classmate.
All right. I think it really depends, because if what you tell can help the situation, I think you should. And if you have like more loyalty towards that friend that is the one being badmouthed, is the one being talked down on, I definitely think you should as well, like tell them. But if all it will cause is chaos and bad things to happen, like and you know like for a fact that no good will come out of it, then I think it's fine to just like ignore it. Like most likely in a situation like that, the people who are like talking shit about your friend are people you don't even want to hang out with anyways. If it's like that bad, if it's to the point where all they're doing is talking shit and it's not productive, it's not like, oh, this person hurt my feelings or this person did this and could improve or whatever, right? Then most likely the people who are talking shit are bad people and you don't want to be around them anyways. I think most of the time telling your friend makes more sense. Only in the case where all it will do is hurt your friend. Like, I don't know. I'm just trying to think about specific scenarios, I guess.
But why May tell Betty is because she said they are using her. Like they will ask her to buy things for them. For example, they will give them like money and then say, "Oh, can you help me to buy something?" They don't want to leave the classroom because they think.
In that case, telling her will help her because Betty's helping her friends who don't like her. If May tells her, then she at least knows these friends don't like me and they're just using me. So that's a good thing, right? So in that circumstance, I do think it's a good thing that May told her.
Yeah, but I don't know, like what's Betty's why Betty do that? I cannot understand as well. Like, okay, so they ask you to run errands, but they don't really deem you as a friend. But actually, maybe in Betty's mind, she thinks they're my friend. So I want to make sure what you're saying is truth.
Well, some people just want to feel like they fit in. Some people just want like to feel close to people, and I guess sometimes that could be even the wrong people. Like it's better than nothing, I guess, for them. It's very unfortunate and sad for sure. Like I think if Betty invested more time in May or like in friends that actually considered her a real friend, then I think that's the best solution, right? But ultimately, I feel like a lot of kids want to fit in, so they gravitate towards the clique, the group, the circle that they feel like they want to be a part of.
True.
And it's
especially in teenager age.
Exactly. That's why I feel like more adults hopefully are less likely to encounter these problems, because you sort of at that point know yourself more. You know like the people you want to be around, and you have a better sense of your personal preference for friendships, right?
I do have another story. So actually this story is about my friend Lisa, and she's a friendly and genuine girl who gets along well with people. She had a great relationship with her colleagues. Okay, so here comes with a colleague, we'll just call her do you have any random name?
Guy or girl?
Girl.
Let's just say Molly.
Molly. Okay, Lisa and Molly are good colleagues. Okay, and since Lisa joined the company before Molly, so she introduced Molly to everyone and help her out many things, like teach her like what it is like in this company and what kind of people you should avoid, what kind of people you can say truth, something like that. And however, there came a time when Molly did something wrong on work, and actually it affected Lisa. Okay. And so Lisa tried to a bit like stay away from Molly. Yeah. Okay. She did notice that she did something wrong on work, and she thinks actually they are not the same kind of person. But she didn't tell anyone that like the things she had done bad on her work. Okay. I see. So she tried to keep her distance, but like 1 month later, Lisa like caught the COVID, and she was home around like 2 weeks. So after she returned to the office, she noticed that everyone seemed very cold and distant towards her. Like even colleagues she was previously close to barely spoke to her. And to her surprise, Molly started to showing hostility. And also, there are other colleagues like trying to stand aside Molly. And she didn't know what happened. She can guess that actually Molly might afraid that Lisa will tell other people about something false she had done. Yeah.
So like, just to clarify, so Molly was afraid that Lisa would tell everyone else about like the bad work that she did, like in the beginning.
Yeah. The fault that she did on work.
I see. Okay.
So Lisa was pretty sad that because she didn't hurt Molly, she didn't do anything bad. She just stayed away from her. And she even greeted her, like, even though they're not that close, but she would say like morning, hi, or like this.
Yeah.
But after she came back, Molly started to like ignore her and trying to let other people to stay away from her. And what was worse is that she found that her supervisor was also cold to her.
What?
But actually they were really close before.
What the heck?
Yeah. So I think Molly is like very good at this. So for her supervisor part, she didn't like tell her supervisor like in person. For example, like Lisa actually didn't likes you. She didn't do this.
So what did she do? What did she say?
Yeah, so there's a middle person. She knew that there's a middle person close to her supervisor. So she told the middle person saying like, oh, you know what? Actually, Lisa didn't like her supervisor. And she did something bad to her supervisor. But that is not true.
Interesting.
And she definitely know this middle person is close to supervisor. So this woman will told her supervisor.
Yeah.
And because actually Molly is not close to her supervisor, if she told supervisor, maybe the supervisor will suspect, right?
Yeah.
But it's this middle person told her, saying like, I heard from someone that actually Lisa is saying something bad around you. Yeah.
Those are some interesting office politics.
Yeah. So that's why the supervisor believes this. And why Lisa found out is after 1 month later, she cannot bear this anymore. And then she told her big boss saying that she wants to resign. And her big boss actually is a person very good at observing people. And he said he did know Molly is not a good girl. I mean, she's not a friendly person as she think. But she never tell Lisa because she thinks they're close. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, the big boss said, oh, he will support Lisa. So
that's good.
Ask her not to leave.
Wait, so what happened to everyone else? Like, did they figure out the truth? Like, why did everyone else start distancing themselves from Lisa? Is it because Molly told everyone about like random lies or what?
So actually, when the time she stayed away from Lisa,
when Lisa had COVID, right?
Yeah. No. Actually, before that, she's already staying away from Molly.
Right.
Yeah. During that period, Molly was quite afraid that she will say something bad about herself. So she secretly told like 2 colleagues. She pretending like the victim and saying, I don't know why, like Alyssa trying to not talking to me. And I heard that she talking to her supervisor that something bad about me and something rumors that I did something wrong on my job, but I didn't.
I feel like that's so weird though, because Lisa's been there longer, and wouldn't Lisa's coworkers, colleagues like give her the benefit of the doubt, versus this new person?
So this is what I said. Actually, because Lisa never say anything bad about people. But if a person trying to link to you and say, actually, I have no one to tell. And actually, I have to say, as I heard from Lisa, like Molly's the girl that she will try to buy something to bribe other colleagues. Yeah.
Like buy them lunch or something.
Not
like
only
a gift.
Yeah. She will say, I saw dresses look nice on you. Yeah, so she pretends she's a nice girl, but actually she's not. And how she, through these kind of tactics, she win the trust from several colleagues, and it expanded while she was not there. Like Lisa was not in office.
I see. That's crazy to me. Dang, that really sucks for Lisa, because she did her best not to badmouth someone else or gossip about someone else, and she got the worst position because of it, which is very unfortunate.
And how did she found out that this evil girl was talking back also to her supervisor is because one day her supervisor and her like have a fight.
I see.
On a certain issue on work. And then her supervisor saying things like, you know why I treated you like this? Like, to tell you the truth, because I heard from many colleagues saying you said I'm not a good supervisor.
I see. And then
and then
Lisa said that's not true, right?
Yeah, she said, who tell you this? Like, she swear to the God that she never said this before. And then she get back together with her supervisor.
Right. They made up.
Yeah. So after her supervisor like being close to her again, she gradually wins some colleagues back a bit, but they're still aside from Molly. Okay, so how did she really solve this problem is that she tried to being, even nicer than before to everyone. Like, even though she knew that some people, they don't like her, but she still tried to just pretending she didn't know anything.
And you're talking about Lisa, right? She just was nicer to everyone.
Yeah.
And so eventually it got better.
Actually, it's a tough period. Like there were like 2 to 3 months. No one supports her.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's rough. I can't even imagine that. That must have been like painful for sure.
Yeah, I guess so. And gradually people found that actually Lisa is not the person that Molly described.
Yeah.
And actually Molly, the more people want to talk to Lisa, they will see like Molly tried to stop this.
Yeah.
Like when people talk to Lisa, Molly will she will like to join the conversation, and she will like to let no one talk to Lisa.
That's messed up.
But in the end, okay, because of some other certain faults she made on the work, so she got fired. Molly got fired.
Well, this is a good ending. Yes, continue.
Yeah. No, actually, this is the end of the story. Okay. But what I want to say is like, if you found out someone is talking shit behind you, actually you cannot stop it. Because if people want to believe it, like, how can you try to move it back? What can you do is like, I think you do you.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a really good moral in this story, is that, well, first off, I'm very sorry about what happened to your friend, but second, the moral is sort of like, number one, you should probably not just instantly believe somebody who is new to the group, like perhaps show more loyalty to the one you've known longer. And I think it is probably, I mean, you're starting to convince me that it's probably better to tell like your friend, oh, this person has actually been saying these things, like, what's going on? Is this true? Because I think if her colleagues did that, if Lisa's colleagues did that, they could have learned the truth sooner. Same with the supervisor. If the supervisor heard, oh, I heard you said this about me, like, why would you say this? Like, how can I be a better supervisor in your opinion? They could have also figured that out sooner, that it wasn't true. But it is difficult to do that, to just like bring up the fact that somebody talked poorly about you. But I think this story, definitely for me at least, is telling me that it's the better way, is to like be open and leave an open channel for all, even, but it's tough because like, what if you're right? What if the other person's like, oh, please don't tell anyone this?
Right.
Like, that's difficult.
And also it's like, if someone talking shits behind you, which means sometimes they won't admit that why they treated you is because of some reasons. Some people they don't say, they just treated you bad. And even though actually Lisa would like to know more details why this happened to one of her previous close colleagues. But actually that colleague, she's like, she shut her mouth. She didn't say anything. She just say, so Lisa tried to say like, I can feel that you're a bit dislike me right now, right?
Yeah.
So she actually took up the whole courage to type all those words to the colleague. But the colleague replied her saying, who dislike you?
I see.
Like she said, I don't think I am. And then she typed words to her saying that, but if I know that everyone disliked me, I will resign.
Yeah, that's
I think
tough.
It's very poison, right?
Yeah. Wow. That is quite the story. It certainly makes me think a lot about, I think in the end, it's about the people. Like, it's about the people, their intentions, and like how much do you care about everyone? This is one of the gray areas where if you know someone is telling you something for the purpose of influencing you to dislike a person, and they say, oh, please don't tell, blah, 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 perhaps it might actually be better to not necessarily tell them, but just to be like, maybe like go around it by saying like, oh, I can somewhat see that you and like, let's say I was a colleague. I can go up to Lisa and be like, oh, I can see that you and Molly are clearly not getting along well, like what's going on. And then hopefully I can talk to Lisa and get an explanation. This is assuming that me and Lisa are close enough or like good enough friends.
Yeah. So you're kind-hearted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I really hope that everyone can somewhat do this and give the benefit of the doubt, I guess, especially if you don't know both sides that well.
Yeah, from this story, you can find out another truth is that inside the same office, if a person trying to say someone's bad words behind, and it will like a virus. For example, if Molly told me that Elsia is not a good girl, like don't play with her. Mm-hmm. And actually she's very evil, selfish, and very mean. Yeah, and she might play tricks to you. She tried to be nice to you. I know all these things. And when I go to the office, it's hard for me to be normal, just like before to Lisa. It's because, Molly is looking at you.
Yeah.
She's seeing like whether you're aside her or aside to Lisa.
Yeah, damn. That's like weaponizing gossip. I feel like a very sheltered person right now, like that I've never really had to deal with that. I mean, just to tell a quick story, I guess, because when you were talking, I sort of remembered someone talking shit about me.
Oh my God.
It's not like a random person. It's like a friend, right? So when I heard that it happened, I was like really hurt by it. I was like, what the heck? Why would that person say that? And then I told other people that I'm close to. I'm like, and also know that person. I'm just like, why would this person say this about me? Blah, blah, blah. Because it was like a ridiculous claim. Like anybody that knows me knows that insult or that thing that they said was not right? But I think it sort of backfired because when I told my close friends that, they were all like, what the hell? Why would that person say that? And everyone started to dislike that person. And that wasn't like my intention. It was more so me just being like, well, why would this person say something so mean? And then like everyone just like got on board with that. And I'm like, yeah, this person's freaking messed up. Why would they say that? And it sort of, like you said, spread like a virus, and it backfired on that person. So in a way, if I don't want to say like, I don't want to be mean to Lisa, but if Lisa's friends or colleagues were more like closer to Lisa, I think they would have been like, there's no way that Lisa would do that because they know Lisa, she's genuine, she's kind, and then they would side with her and they would be like, why is this person talking shit,
I have some clues of this story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know if it's just girls. Like sometimes if someone said, oh, you know what, I don't really like Lisa, it's because, she mentioned an event. And maybe one of the colleagues said, oh, actually, I think, Lisa, she speaks very loud in the office sometimes. And people started to second some things. Actually, they're not really related, but
I see.
Yeah, but it's just
that's weird to me. That's so weird to me. Yeah.
But I think your story is a very, very good ending. People believe in you. But how did you know that? I mean, how did you know? Like your friend told you, right?
Yeah. A different friend told me. And in the end, I did confront the friend that insulted me and talk shit about me. I was like, why did you say this? Blah, blah, blah. And in the end, they were like, oh yeah, I actually don't really believe that. I don't mean it. So in the end, it was fine, right? I'm willing to forgive and let go. Like, it's totally fine.
Okay, so your solution is like try to tell other friends that you heard from. and then to clarify yourself. I think this is also good. I mean,
yeah, it was more of a reflex, right? It was a reflex because I was like, oh, I felt hurt by it. I was like, why? And then naturally I tell the people I'm closest to, I'm like, this person said this about me. I'm like kind of hurt by it, right?
But the problem is, I think the thing is you got the good friends tell you what they heard about. But inside this story is because actually Lisa didn't know what did the girl talk about her.
Right,
she didn't know why. And no one wants to tell her why.
Yeah. Definitely a different situation. Completely different. I think my story is just like something that
encouraging story.
Yeah, it's just a very fortunate one, but also like something that triggered in my mind as we kept talking. It was just a random story. But yeah, sorry for interrupting you.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I think your story is like very encouraging. Like,
yeah,
I like your story. I like the end.
Yeah. The Lisa story is very like a worse scenario in my opinion. That's like, yeah, that's very unfortunate.
Yeah, but I think you're also brave enough to tell other people.
Oh yeah.
Because some people, they would just like, I hope like not many people know about this, and I would just keep it secret, into the inside your mind.
I think in the end, just to give this whole discussion a moral or like lesson, at least from my perspective, after we've talked about all of it, is I really do think open communication and honesty is probably like one of the better policies or philosophies to live by. Because at the very least, if you're the one being talked about, you can at least confront the person who's talking shit about you and try to get some resolution from it. Because most of the time, these people, they'll talk shit behind your back, but they're not going to say it in front of your face. Which I guess you can take that and be like, oh, maybe this person doesn't mean it. Maybe this person, when I confront them and they say sorry, maybe they don't mean that they're sorry, but they're just saying it. But at the very least, you get some closure from it. Like you can at least hear the person say, oh, I'm sorry for saying that. I didn't mean it. So confrontation, I think, is the best way. Like just being straightforward about it, right? Because if you hold on to it, and this is some person you have to continue to interact with, then you're going to start feeling really bad every time you interact with them.
Yeah, I totally agree with your point.
And then being someone that listens to someone talk bad about the other person, I do think it's a really, really good idea to listen with doubt, even if it's a close friend, to understand that you're only hearing one side of the story. And if the other person that's being talked about, that's like, is your friend too, perhaps like try to hear their side of the story without indicating that you know it from someone else.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that might be a little bit borderline meddling, but at least you hear both sides. This is assuming you're close to both people, right? At least you hear both sides, and at least you have some sort of like balance instead of like siding with one friend completely. But the hard part.
I have one question. Like,
sure.
Okay, what if okay, your friend A told you something, and then you try to figure out, and you talk to friend B, and then you know the whole story, and you found out actually friend A is so evil.
That's shoot. I don't know what I would do in that situation, but I personally have faith in my friends. I personally believe that my friends are good people and that none of them would actually be evil. If I do find out that they're straight up evil, like they did something ridiculously bad, then I would try my best to talk to them and be like, and understand them. Because I think that's what you have to do. You have to come from a place where you're listening not because you want to judge people. You're listening because you want to understand people. And and you want to build connections. That's why we talk. That's why we communicate. At least that's my opinion, right? It's very, very tough if the situation itself is super complex. But most of the time, I really, really believe that, people are not doing it for evil reasons. Definitely the story that you told, yes, Molly was doing it for evil reasons. And that's very, very unfortunate. But I do think as long as you have good friends that are good people, you will not encounter those situations, hopefully.
I like your conclusion.
It's very optimistic, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's good. Like we should welcome more opinions. I mean, not only from one side of your friends, like if you know mutually, you should try to like figure out what it happens and not just like take sides instantly.
Yeah. The difficult part about that sometimes though is like, because you want your friend to feel like you support them, right? And sometimes that support comes from like, your friend really wants to hear that you understand them. And if you don't take a side, if you're very neutral, sometimes you might alienate them. Sometimes you might like push them away. So it can be a little difficult to navigate sometimes, but ultimately it's situation by situation and you have to like do your best to figure it out. Yeah. But thank you so much for coming on and talking about this really, really heavy topic. If you're in any of these situations, good luck for sure. Like do your best. Try to stay optimistic. And if you're in Lisa's position, I'm very sorry. Just continue to try and hopefully things will work out.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for coming on, Althea.
Okay, thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.